Dear listener, among all the prophets, there are titles that carry weight. Ibrahim alayhi salam is Khalilullah, the close friend of Allah. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is Habibullah, the beloved of Allah. And Musa alayhi salam holds a title that sends shivers through the heart, Kalimullah, the one who spoke directly to Allah, no intermediary, no angel carried the message in between. When Musa alayhi salam stood at Mount Tur and the fire appeared in the darkness, he did not know that he was about to hear speech unlike any human had heard before. Indeed, I am Allah. The voice did not echo from creation. It was not my imagination. It was a revelation. Musa alayhi salam is the prophet whose story fills the Quran more than any other. His confrontation with Fir'aun, his staff turned into a serpent, the sea splitting into walls, the drowning of the greatest tyrant of his time. His life was public, his miracles were visible, his mission shook empires. He stood before kings. He led an entire nation. He witnessed divine power unfold in ways no one else did. And yet, the location of his grave is unknown. Pause and reflect on that contrast. The prophet who spoke directly to Allah, the leader who split the sea, the messenger who received the Torah, and no one can point to his burial site with certainty. How is that possible? History remembers kings through monuments, pharaohs through pyramids, rulers through tombs carved into stone. But Musa alayhi salam, whose legacy eclipses theirs all, has no marked shrine, no towering mausoleum, no protected enclosure that pilgrims circle. His story is written in Revelation. His grave is hidden in the earth. There is something deliberate about that. Because Musa alayhi salam was not a minor prophet. He was not obscure. He was central to divine history. Entire chapters of the Quran recount his struggles, his patience, his anger, his leadership, and still, his burial place remains a mystery. Some reports mention he was buried near the Holy Land, close to a red sand dune, but the exact location, unknown. The man whose staff shook tyrants now rests in a place no map can confirm, and perhaps that is not lost. Perhaps that is protection. The life of Musa alayhi salam was full of confrontation against false worship. He broke illusions. He destroyed magic. He called Bani Israel back to pure monotheism after they demanded a golden calf. Tawheed defined him. And that makes the mystery of his grave even more powerful, because sometimes what Allah hides is not forgotten. It is safeguarded. The world may search for monuments, but the greatest prophets leave something far greater than stone. They leave belief. And the question remains, why would Allah allow such a towering prophet's grave to remain concealed? The answer is not in archaeology, it is in Aqidah. And once understood, the mystery becomes mercy. The mystery of Musa's alayhi salam grave is not built on silence. It is built on a single, powerful narration. In Sahih Muslim, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told his companions something remarkable. He described the moment when the angel of death came to Musa alayhi salam. In that encounter, Musa alayhi salam struck the angel, not out of rebellion, but because he did not recognize him at first. The angel returned to Allah, and Allah sent him back with a message. Musa alayhi salam was given a choice. If he wished, he could place his hand on the back of an ox, and for every hair his hand covered, he would be granted a year of life. Musa alayhi salam asked, "And then what?" The angel replied, "Then death." Musa alayhi salam said, "Then now." This moment reveals something profound. Musa alayhi salam, the prophet who faced Fir'aun without fear, did not cling to extended years. When he understood that death was inevitable, he chose to meet it without delay. But before his soul was taken, he made one request. He asked Allah to bring him near to the Holy Land. the land he had longed to enter but was not permitted to step into during his lifetime. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said that Musa alayhi salam was buried near a red sand dune close to the sacred land. And then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam added something striking. "If I were there, I would show you his grave near the road at the red sand dune." This tells us two things clearly. First, the burial location was known at that time in a general sense. Second, it was not marked as a shrine, monument, or visible structure. There was no description of a building, no indication of a constructed tomb, no mention of pilgrimage to the site, just a red sand dune. Over time, the exact location faded from human certainty, and that fading is important. Islam preserves details when they serve faith. It allows other details to disappear when their preservation could cause harm. Compare this to how the Quran carefully preserves the story of Musa alayhi salam, his dialogue, his trials, his miracles, but does not anchor attention to his burial site. Why? Because the value of Musa alayhi salam was never in the soil that covered him. It was in the message he carried. History often becomes obsessed with physical relics. Graves become destinations. Soil becomes sacred. Structures become objects of exaggeration. But in this case, the burial remained simple, unmarked, uncelebrated, and eventually unknown. That unknown status is not a weakness in our tradition. It is strength, because Islam directs reverence toward revelation, not locations. Musa alayhi salam rests near the land he longed for. That much we know through authentic narration. But the exact point beneath the earth? Hidden. And perhaps that concealment is not an accident of time. Perhaps it is part of divine wisdom. Because sometimes the greatest protection is invisibility. And to understand that wisdom, we must confront a difficult question. Why would Allah hide a prophet's grave at all? At first glance, the question feels almost unsettling. Why would the grave of Musa alayhi salam, a prophet who spoke directly to Allah, who confronted Fir'aun, who split the sea, remain unmarked and unknown? Wouldn't marking it honor him? Wouldn't preserving it show respect? To answer that, we must understand something deeper about Islam. Islam does not protect prophets by building monuments over them. Islam protects prophets by protecting Tawheed. Throughout history, grave exaggeration has slowly turned into grave worship. It rarely begins with the intention to commit shirk. It begins with love. Love becomes admiration. Admiration becomes ritual. Ritual becomes dependence. And dependence slowly shifts from Allah to creation. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned his Ummah clearly, "Do not turn my grave into a place of festivity." And he said, "May Allah curse the Jews and Christians who took the graves of their prophets as places of worship." This warning is not theoretical, it is historical. Entire religious communities before Islam began by honoring prophets. And over generations, some among them began directing acts of worship toward graves. Sujood near graves, calling upon the dead, seeking blessing from soil. Musa alayhi salam spent his life fighting shirk. He destroyed the illusion of Fir'aun's divinity. He shattered the golden calf. He called his people back to worshipping Allah alone. Imagine if his grave became a site of exaggeration. Imagine if people traveled to it seeking intercession instead of seeking Allah. The very prophet who defended Tawheed would become a source of deviation. Allah did not allow that. By hiding the grave, Allah protected the message. This pattern is not unique to Musa alayhi salam, even the grave of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the greatest of creation, is not placed in an open field where people can circle it. It lies within his home, not exposed as a shrine structure separate from the masjid. There are layers of protection to prevent excess. Islam honors prophets through obedience, not architecture. And here is the deeper wisdom. When a grave is unknown, the heart cannot attach itself to location. It must attach itself to revelation. If Musa's grave were widely marked and monumental, human psychology would do what it always does: gather, decorate, exaggerate. But when the location is hidden, attention remains where it belongs: on the Quran, on his story, on his example, on Allah. Allah did not hide the grave of Musa, alayhi salam, to diminish him. He hid it to protect pure monotheism, because Islam is not a religion of relics. It is a religion of submission. And when we understand that, the mystery begins to look less like absence and more like divine mercy. But then another question emerges, one that often circulates in dramatic storytelling. If the grave is hidden, is Iblis searching for it? And that is where we must separate myth from truth. The phrase is dramatic. Why Iblis is still searching for it today? It sounds mysterious, suspenseful, almost cinematic, but we must pause here. There is no authentic evidence in the Quran or in Sahih Hadith that Iblis is literally roaming the earth, searching for the grave of Musa, alayhi salam. No narration states it, no companion reported it, no reliable scholar affirmed it. So where does the idea come from? Often, powerful mysteries invite imagination. When a grave is hidden, stories grow around the absence. People begin to speculate. They fill silence with narrative. Over time, speculation hardens into rumor. But Aqidah is not built on rumor. Islam teaches us something crucial about Iblis. His mission is not archaeological. He is not searching for soil. He is searching for hearts. The Quran makes his strategy clear. I will surely sit in wait for them on your straight path. He does not announce himself through treasure hunts or physical expeditions. He operates through whispers, through doubt, through exaggeration. In fact, if we reflect deeply, the real danger is not Iblis discovering Musa's grave. The danger would be humans discovering it and misusing it. Grave exaggeration has historically led communities away from Tawheed. The Quran itself mentions how earlier nations elevated righteous figures, eventually turning their graves into sites of devotion. If Iblis has any role in grave-related deviation, it is not through searching for graves. It is through encouraging people to turn graves into objects of attachment. He whispers, "Seek blessing here. Ask from this person. Your dua will be stronger at this location." That is how deviation begins. The hidden grave of Musa, alayhi salam, is not a puzzle Iblis is trying to solve. It is a protection Allah has already put in place. And Iblis cannot override divine protection. Remember, he operates within permission. He cannot expose what Allah has chosen to conceal. He cannot reveal what Allah has hidden for wisdom. Sometimes, sensational narratives distract from deeper truths. The real story is not that Iblis is wandering deserts searching for Musa's burial site. The real story is that Iblis is far more focused on living people than buried prophets. He does not need to uncover graves to cause harm. He only needs to distort intention. And that leads us to the deeper realization. The hidden grave is not about mystery. It is about safeguarding Tawheed in a world where hearts are easily attached to the visible. The real search is not happening in the desert. It is happening inside us. The grave of Musa, alayhi salam, is hidden, but something else is not hidden: the vulnerability of the human heart. Throughout history, people have searched for physical locations, tombs, relics, monuments, believing that proximity to soil brings proximity to Allah. But Islam redirected that instinct. It told humanity, do not attach yourselves to graves. Attach yourselves to the Lord of the graves. The real danger was never that someone would find Musa's burial site. The danger is what people might do if they did. Would they pray to Allah there, or would they begin praying through Musa, alayhi salam? Would remembrance stay within boundaries, or would exaggeration slowly grow? History answers that question clearly. Before Islam, righteous people were remembered with statues. Over time, statues became symbols. Symbols became objects of devotion. Devotion drifted from creator to creation. This is how deviation evolves, not instantly, but gradually. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, warned his companions not to turn graves into places of ritual gathering. He feared exaggeration. He feared that love, if not anchored by knowledge, could transform into worship. Musa, alayhi salam, spent his life fighting that very drift. He confronted people who demanded to see Allah physically. He returned from Mount Tur to find his people worshipping a golden calf. He shattered it in anger. His entire mission revolved around correcting attachment, and so Allah protected his burial from becoming a new attachment. The grave is hidden, but Tawheed is preserved. And this is where the phrase, Iblis is still searching, takes on a different meaning. Iblis is not searching for a grave. He is searching for misplaced devotion. He does not need to uncover Musa's resting place. He only needs to encourage humans to shift dependence away from Allah. When people begin seeking spiritual benefit from soil instead of supplication, when hearts feel closer to a tomb than to the Quran, when physical location replaces personal obedience, that is when his whisper succeeds. The real search is happening now, inside living hearts. Are we searching for monuments, or are we searching for sincerity? Musa, alayhi salam, does not need a marked grave to be honored. He is honored through obedience to Allah. He is honored when Tawheed remains intact. He is honored when people follow revelation instead of superstition. The earth hides his body, but the Quran preserves his message. And the true battlefield is not over hidden sand dunes. It is over visible choices. Every time a believer raises their hands to Allah alone, Tawheed is protected. Every time exaggeration is resisted, the wisdom of the hidden grave becomes clear, because the greatest protection Allah gives is not visibility, it is clear. At first, the hidden grave of Musa, alayhi salam, feels like a mystery. A prophet of such magnitude, a man who spoke directly to Allah, a leader who split the sea, and yet no monument, no shrine, no confirmed location people can gather around. But when you look deeper, it is not a mystery, it is mercy. Allah did not hide the grave of Musa alayhi salam to erase him from history. He hid it to preserve what Musa alayhi salam lived and died for. Tawheed. Musa alayhi salam fought against false worship his entire life. He stood before Fir'aun, who claimed divinity. He confronted magic and illusion. He shattered the golden calf when his own people drifted into idolatry. His mission was clear: worship Allah alone. If his grave were exposed and monumental, human nature might have slowly shifted attention from the message to the location. From obedience to ritual, from revelation to soil. Allah protected the Ummah from that trial. The grave is hidden, but the lesson is visible. Islam does not build its faith on physical relics, it builds it on revelation. The power of Musa, alayhi salam, was never in the place he was buried. It was in the words he carried, and perhaps that is the final wisdom. When something is hidden by Allah, it is not forgotten, it is safeguarded. The world builds monuments to remember kings. Allah preserves Tawheed by removing distractions. So no, the story is not about Iblis wandering deserts looking for a grave. It is about Allah closing doors that could lead to exaggeration. It is about protecting belief from drifting into devotion toward creation. Musa, alayhi salam, rests in earth known only to Allah, but his legacy stands in every verse that speaks his name, and that is greater than any shrine, because soil fades, monuments crumble, but Tawheed, when protected, outlives them all.